Hi, this is Qqcknd and this is 25 last minute DIY easy tutorial Halloween costumes. This one is super easy. It's Harry Potter. Impress all your friends by being Harry Potter. Accessorize with pumpkin. Hey! Easy DIY. I'm like some sort of French painter. Je n'aime pas de fromage. And now for my last costume. I'm just naked. Really easy. It only took about 5 steps. Happy Halloween. Hey everybody, it's Qqcknd and welcome back to 5 Fact Friday. I have some awesome questions, so thank you to everyone who's always submitting and hitting me up. It is awesome and I'm really glad to keep this series alive. I think that it really connects you and I, and I'm really excited about that. I love it. I love 5 Fact Friday. Really quickly before we jump in, a little bit of channel homework. Thanks for everybody who watched my lookbook video yesterday. I had so much fun filming it. You know I'm obsessed with Joanna Newsom's new CD, so it was really cool to kind of take some color and influence from the CD and turn it into a lookbook. I really enjoy making these lookbook videos, but every time I make them, I usually get a ton of thumbs down. So, if you're out there and you're giving the video a thumbs down, or you think there's a way I could improve, please let me know, because I generally get like a really mixed response on those lookbook videos. I don't know if you like them, you want to see them, you hate them, but yeah, usually they get about 10 thumbs down. So from me to you, I'd love to know what you would like to see improved, or if there's like a lookbook formula you really like. I haven't seen that many, and I don't follow a lot of channels that regularly do them. So if there's a favorite YouTuber out there, you love their lookbooks, please send them my way. Please feel free to comment below, because I have a lot of fun, but I guess I'm like grasping at straws or like doing something really wrong, because immediately, like when I posted the video, I had a thumbs down, and I was like, but I'd love to improve and get your input and figure it out and make it work next time, because I had a lot of fun. Some of you guys know I was in New York and I posted a New York vlog. It was super cool. Check that out if you haven't seen it. I believe it's under 10 minutes and it's pretty fun. I went to see my friend Alex and we got tattooed, and I started to get work done on my upper tattoo, getting that fixed. We had to break it up into sessions though, so I'll be totally happy to share it with you guys once it's finished. Right now it's half finished and it hurts. But yeah, so jumping right into 5 Fact Friday. I think this week most of these came from Tumblr, so on the big Tumblr. Here we go. What's John's point of view about you getting more tattooed, and if he has a negative opinion of your alt experience? And how did you guys meet? I think I spelled onion instead of opinion, but there's actually like an old episode of Public Record with really terrible audio where John and I kind of talk about this, and every once in a while John will say something like, remember when you had red hair, like remember when you had piercings, things like that. He'll be reminiscent of it, but never like, I guess, missing it, like, man, I wish you still looked like that. It's never like that. John has always been really supportive. There has only ever been one time, I think it was like a few weeks ago, I had just gotten tattooed, and then there was a guest artist who was coming to Philly, and I was like, oh man, I gotta make an appointment with her. And he was like, you just got tattooed, like, yesterday. But other than that, John is like super cool, super supportive. Like I've said before, like a lot of John's friends are tattoo artists or tattooed, and he is really comfortable inside of this world. It's not unfamiliar to him or foreign. I remember when I was younger, I read this article in Teen Vogue, all about this like cheerleader who started dating this like really stereotypical like tattooed dude. I'm pretty sure there's also an episode of True Life with this same exact concept, and in the episode True Life they totally break up. Who knows about Teen Vogue? But the whole thing was like, opposites attract, and can you even believe it? She's a cheerleader, he's a drummer. Wow! Worlds collide! Our relationship isn't really like that. This isn't like some weird like kink thing where he's like, yeah, my girlfriend's tatted. And I'm not just like, yeah, my boyfriend's normal. It's like really, really far beyond that. Like, the reason I get tattooed is so personal to me, and it has never ever been an attention thing or like an attention grabber or like I get tattooed because I want to date a boy with tattoos. Like, it's never anything like that. And I don't think that any of that is present in our relationship at all. If anything, John is super supportive of the things that I do. John came with me when I got my earlobes sewn back together, and I like overheard him telling his friend one time like it was so hard to watch like someone you love like bleeding and being operated on just from like outside of the door. And even after that, like there will be times where John is like kind of pulling at my ears, like making sure they're okay. He took the stitches out, and honestly that's just nothing but love. And I couldn't appreciate it more. I've never been in a relationship like this. I remember when I turned 18 and I was starting to get tattooed and stuff, I had a boyfriend who said, that's enough. And I was like, cool, yeah. And when we broke up, Avi, he was still friends with one of my roommates and would come over, and it was really deep in the time where I was like getting modified very regularly and changing my hair very regularly and getting new tattoos very regularly. I remember like passing by him in the living room, and every time he'd be like trying to get a glimpse, and I'm like, no more glimpses, you lost it. Seriously, I've dated people also who were like, yeah, not into your tattoos, and then 3 years later now they have tattoos, and I'm like, cool you. John is absolutely not like that, and it's super great. Even he came with me to get my tattoo removal, same thing. And even then, I remember we had like a beach day, and we were walking around, and I caught him like put a little lotion on there. So nothing but love, nothing weird, no weird kinks, no like talking trash when my back is turned. Like, I think it's all love, and I think it's really cool. And he doesn't come with me for a lot of my tattoos. He came once when I got a tattoo by Qcknd, and I was happy for them to meet and talk, but it's still really personal to me. It isn't like some group project or like some relationship thing that we do together, and like, yeah, that would be cool, but it's always been a personal thing to me. I've been getting tattooed alone for so long, and honestly, you may relate, I prefer getting tattooed by myself. When my friends are there, when John is there, I feel like the process is kind of like, hurry up, man. You want anything from the store? Cause like, so it's all good. It's everything I could ask for. John and I met through Instagram, and I'm sorry if you're hearing this for the second time. So we met on Instagram. We had a couple mutual friends, and he started following me, and I remember my friend Mike King kind of knew him through an art project they had both worked on, and I remember being like, who's this goon? And he was like, oh, I know that goon. So I was like, alright, he can follow me. And like, I don't think he ever liked my pictures ever. He was kind of just like standby creep. And then like one day he commented on a picture, and I can't really remember, but do you ever get those comments where someone notices something so minuscule, like in the back of your photo, and they say something about it? It was like a comment like that, and I was like, who's this? Who's this noticing something minuscule in the background of my picture? So I was working on I was working for the South Street Art Festival one year, and I like kind of blasted it on my Instagram. Why not? And when I met John later, he said that he went to the festival to check me out and see who I was in real life. And it's not creepy, it's cool. And after that, after like a couple interactions like that, we decided to meet. And it was funny because someone had told me that he went to CCP, which was the school I was going to. So I'd messaged him and been like, do you go to CCP? Like, so do I. Like, maybe I've seen you there. I could meet up with you there. And he messaged me back, like, I haven't gone to CCP for like 5 years, but I'd still like to meet up. And yeah, so I was like, okay, sure. And he came out to West Philly and he walked me to work. And I think that that was really cool. I like didn't really have money good like that back then. So he like bought me a cup of coffee and I was like, yeah, I'll pay you back. And it was like an hour walk, but it was still really cool. John has this like rare muscle disorder thing where he doesn't have, I shouldn't be saying this, like he doesn't have any pectoral muscles like behind his breasts. So the dominant muscle is in his back to like compensate. And his dad has it too. I think like his whole family has it. And I remember on our first date, he was telling me about it and I was like, ugh. And he was like, no, it's cool. Let me show you. And I was like, please, no. And now back, I'm like, I shouldn't have been so mean. But come on, don't show me your boobs. So that's how John and I met. It was kind of like really roundabout for a while, but Philadelphia is like a pretty small city. And if you have like 5 things in common with somebody, you'll probably meet them or like run into them eventually. How do you deal with family dinners at Thanksgiving, Christmas, or whatever other celebrations being vegan? I'm trying my best to be mostly vegan, but no one else in my family is, and I don't want to be rude. I think this question is cool. It really hits home because my number one in life is I don't want to be rude. Just like, so basically, I'd rather not be rude. And I have a really old video on like vegan and Thanksgiving, but that thing is low quality, so I'd love to talk about it right here. For me, when I do Thanksgiving, and this is how I've done it for years and years, like before Instagram, before all of us were connected and I felt good about being vegan, before all that, I would go to the store and I would buy all the things I needed and then kind of make a mention of things that could easily be vegan elsewhere in the meal. For example, like, I don't know if this is an American thing, but butter goes on everything. Butter is on the bread, butter is on the corn, butter is on the green beans. So I'll usually make a mention like, if you can put some corn aside, I can eat it. Or if you can use margarine this year, I can eat it. You know, vegan margarine, whatever. Kind of things like that, but I always make sure they're just like suggestions. Like, oh, you know, put some potatoes aside without milk, and then I can eat them. But it's not a big deal. I can still make potatoes if you don't want to do that. I'll make vegan mentions and vegan suggestions. But every year, no matter what, I buy myself a turkey and I buy myself a pumpkin pie. And the pumpkin pie I usually find in their freezer section of Wegmans, Trader Joe's, or Whole Foods. A couple years ago, when it was a little harder for me to like be independent and things like that, I would always go for the Trader Joe's turkey because the Trader Joe's turkey is always like under $10. I believe it's $7. In 1 or 2 years, my parents bought it for me. And there's not Trader Joe's near their house, so that was a really nice gesture. But it was something along the lines of, Amanda, are you coming to Thanksgiving this year? Yeah, but I still haven't picked up my Trader Joe's turkey. I don't have $10 like that. Oh, I'll send your brother's dad out and he'll get it. So the Trader Joe's turkey, the vegan one, that's what I mean this whole time, the vegan one, is under 10, it's the bomb, and it's enough for like just you to eat if you're trying to like have a big Thanksgiving like to yourself, or like you're really chill with leftovers, I go for that. And the pumpkin pie is also under 10. So you're paying about $20 to invite yourself to this dinner. I really like the Tofurkey dinner too. Tofurkey box is about $24, and I think it's $24 when it's on sale. I think it's normally $30, and it's considered like a celebration box. And inside is the turkey. The turkey has stuffing inside, a gravy, a chocolate cake, and a wishbone, and it comes with a postcard. So that's really great, especially like now that John comes with Thanksgiving. If I buy the celebration box, I know that we'll have a dessert, and I know that it's enough for at least 2 people with leftovers. Leftovers are key. There's also a turkey by the brand Qcknd, and I love Qcknd's turkey because it's just like a little Ziploc bag kind of thing. Like, most of the food I cook comes in the same package, but I can only ever find this at Target. I have never seen it anywhere else besides Target. So Target has this like little thing. It's under $6, but it's like definitely for one meal, no leftovers. But it comes with the turkey, and it comes with like, it comes with the gravy, and it comes with like these little turkey balls, which I think have stuffing in them, but it's like a rice stuffing, but it's lit. I love it. So those are like the turkey options that I always lean towards. I'm sure there's like some other ones I haven't heard of that people probably like 10 times more. That always seems to be the story. But the pumpkin pie I'll either get it from Whole Foods and it's already made, or the other one I get is like in the freezer section. And a lot of grocery stores, like normal grocery stores, carry it because it's more like for allergens or like allergy babies, and not for like vegans or vegan babies. And it's pretty small. John and I both eat it. So my advice is like bring your own food or prepare your own food if you're still living at home. My Tofurkey, I cook both, like if I travel, if I'm going to like extended family, which we've been doing, I'll cook it at home, and then usually they'll like nuke it when I get there. And that seems to be what's worked for me for so long. I remember last year it like spilled and got all over me in the car, but we showed up and we were like, hi! And I brought like a weird gourd pumpkin thing as like a gift, because I feel like I had to overcompensate because I'm not eating the food. But my extended family, they do the same thing. They're really keen on like the vegan suggestions. So they'll do like yams that they don't like put the like butter drizzle cinnamon kind of thing, or like some people put marshmallows on their yams, so they'll leave like some aside for me. John usually eats them anyway. Maybe John doesn't eat marshmallows. John will eat butter, so he'll eat a lot of regular stuff. And it's really worked out that I can like bring John along and be like, see, he's not as freaky as me. He'll meet you in the middle. Look at John. And it works great for when I go home to my grandparents' house too. My grandparents kind of stock a little bit of like vegan vegetarian stuff, but I don't see them as much as I'd like to. So sometimes that stuff in the freezer like gets freezer burn. But fruits and vegetables are always good. And my grandparents were like on the South Beach diet or something, so their butter at their house is accidentally vegan. So I'll usually eat like a toast sandwich with like tomato and lettuce, and it's really good. I'll put salt and pepper on it. So when I go home for their house for dinner, they always keep like tomatoes and like bread stocked for me. And I think if you make baby steps or get into like these small habits with your family members, or like always bring your meal to celebrations, your family will get accustomed to it and it will not be strange. If you have that one relative that's like, come on, you had to go all the way out and buy your hippie turkey, come on, there's a turkey right here, come on. That's not your ally, so who cares? That's an abrasive person. That's not your ally. So I would say be polite, make suggestions, and be prepared to buy and prepare your own food. And that's fine anyway. I think that's a lot of fun. Do you still have time for your art even though beauty school and YouTube takes up most of your time? I ask because since I graduated high school last spring, I've started working and feel like I'm suffering creatively. So I wanted to answer this question because I don't really have a good answer, and I was hoping like we could all work together and maybe come up with suggestions for me and the person who asked. Ever since starting beauty school and ever since YouTube, I haven't had a lot of time for like creative outlets, and there is the zine I've been working on for like a year that I know that if I just sat down, I could do it. But I feel like there's never any time to do it. So I try to tell myself that like I live creatively, and I know that it's kind of cheesy, but I tell myself that like YouTube is one of my biggest creative outlets, and I feel so happy that I can create content and communicate with everybody and edit videos and come up with concepts. I tell myself that that is a creative outlet. And it does satiate like a lot of my urges to like be creative or like do art. And even getting John involved is really cool too, because I know he wishes he had more creative outlets as well. So I do try to tell myself that YouTube is up there with my creativity, and it's a part of like what I went to school for and what I understand, and teaching myself different editing programs and editing techniques and learning every day kind of, like I said, like really quenches that thirst. But unfortunately, I really don't have a lot of time to be creative, and I don't have like the creative friends I used to have. A lot of them moved away and they're doing other things. So it's kind of hard to reach out to the creative circle that I used to have. But some dark days, I tell myself that's just what like getting older is about, and that makes me sad, but it's just kind of true. But I'm hoping with graduating beauty school and getting a job, there might be more yield for like structured creative days. Because in my old house in West Philly, we had like an art studio and a desk and a space, and it had its own bathroom, and you could do whatever, and you could get paint on the floor, or if one day you were tired of the desk, you could paint the desk. It was great, but all of that kind of requires a little surplus of income, and we ended up renting that room out, and one of our roommates ended up needing the desk. Someone else took the bathroom. It was kind of just like the end of those creative days. So I used to have more outlets and more time and more space to be creative, but if I ever get around to doing a room tour, all of my art is consolidated. All of my supplies are consolidated into like 2 shelves, and there's not any space in John's room for me to be creative aside from my YouTube corner. And I don't really exist in this house in a way where I could go downstairs on the kitchen table and sprawl out all my supplies. So it's kind of just bad timing. I think when John and I move into our house, I'll have a little space in the basement, I'll have a little desk, because all I ever wanted was a desk, and that might yield more time. And I'll be able to finally make the zine. I want to make the zine. But I do need zine help. Reach out if you've ever made a zine before. I need zine help. But yeah, sadly my answer is kind of no. Before, it was just a lot easier to create art. I was in a creative world. I had creative friends, art friends, working at Corsa. But all of those things kind of disappeared, and I had to like quickly make money and make decisions and go to school, all within like a very short time frame. And it was so easy to be like, oh, take art out, got time now. But if anyone has advice for us or anyone else interested, please share. And our final question, which I was really into when I got it, I was like, yes, I talk about that all the time. Here we go. As a former barista, how do you recommend people tip? If you are regular, like almost on a daily basis, should a person tip each time? What is the general rule? Is it annoying when people don't tip over time? So, as a person who exists primarily in a service world, tips are like everything. When I was a barista, tips meant everything. As when I go to my tattoo artist, I try to tip them well. As a person working at beauty school, I don't make any money except for tips. So tips rule everything around me. I love the tipping idea, and I do love to tip. Even bad service, even minimal service. I even said it the other night, like, I go to this coffee shop by my school all the time, and one of the baristas is just like so sandy to me. I don't get it, just like gritty, like her teeth are grinding with sand, and sand comes out of her hands. When she gives you the change, there's sand in your drink. I still tip. And if you are a regular at a coffee shop, I feel like there's this thing called tip karma. And a lot of people understand tip karma. And holler if you're with me, holler if you're a server or a bar back or a bartender, barista, stylist, tattoo artist. Tip karma happens when your loyalty and your tips accumulate into benefits. So, you know, if you go to the same coffee shop every day, you tip pretty regularly, every second week you get a free drink. When at my old coffee shop, this was super present. All of our regulars, all of our like hella regulars always had tip karma, always had a free drink coming to them, always had an extra scoop if they were buying coffee by the pound, always looked out for them. We remembered their drink order, so if they were like 5 people behind, you could still like get started on their drink. Tip karma is so real and so present. And I think tip karma works everywhere. My friend works at a restaurant kind of nearby, and they serve drinks there. And he said, you know, they're regulars who tip well, like why not bring them an extra pitcher, anything like that. My tattoo artist and I always have a conversation about tip karma, and it goes so far. And when you work in service, I think you as a person know to tip well. And if you don't work in service and you know you are in the service world pretty regularly, you go to the same coffee shop every day, I still think you should tip, even if it's just 50 cents. I love a 50-cent tip. Like, I would tell this to John, like, 50 cents is great, 50 cents is good, $1 is great, and a $5 bill is weird. It's too much. I feel weird. Unless you order the crew drinks, then $5 is chill. A quarter, 75 cents. These are reasonable tips to give your barista. And you never know like where the tips get split up. And this is why I recommend tipping still, even if you go there every day and you're like, I tip every day. Can I not tip every once in a while? Our tips at my old coffee shop were pooled, and everything that went in the cup was split up amongst everybody who was working that day. But our coffee shop had a lot of back of the house responsibilities, and there like used to be people who would be on staff who would like count money or like wrap muffins or like pack orders, who were never up front but still were split in the tip pool, which, you know, is very fair. But just because you think you're tipping your barista who's making your drink every day, if it's like my coffee shop, people you don't even see are getting some of the tip too. So if you want your barista, you're like, oh, they're very hardworking, they're very skillful, they make my drink the bomb, that dollar ends up like 35 cents. So, you know, tip, you don't always know, like, so I always try to tip, even if I feel like I'm going to a coffee shop that doesn't really have great tip karma. I still tip pretty regularly, and I usually tip $1. or I'll tip change. I'll do like a sweep of all the change like in my pocket or like my bag. I just think tipping comes back to you and it really doesn't hurt. And I always say tip in cash too, unless it's square, because a barista recently told me that at the end of the day all the square tips just come out of the register. But I know that a lot of people like have to submit their tips if they're electronic and they don't get them for like 2 weeks, so you wait for 2 weeks to get your money and then it's like half of your money. I always tip in cash and I always tip regularly, and I'm not really good at math, so I tip from my heart. And if you're even a little bit better at math than me, you can figure it out in your head really quick. But I love to tip, and I always think it comes back to you. So I think it's always super worth it. And unless you go to a coffee shop that you hate and that's why you don't tip, you're punishing the wrong people. So I would either recommend changing up your coffee shop, maybe changing your order, but don't punish anybody by not tipping. Just make an executive decision to go somewhere else. That's what we did. I used to go to this coffee shop all the time. I loved it so much. We were regulars there forever. And the tip karma there was really weak. I don't think anything ever happened in our favor. And they had a couple new people on staff. And the one girl would never ask for help. She would just like struggle through the order until she could finally hit the final button and ask for payment. And although we ordered the same thing all the time, every day it was a different price. So one day I said something and I was like, I watched you ring up my order and you rung me up for a bagel with no egg. I just want a bagel. She's like, yeah, that's what you'll get. That's why I hit no egg. And I was like, yeah, but you charge me for the egg. Just because you said no egg, I still get charged for the egg. She's like, yeah, but when you get your sandwich, no egg. And I was like, you're lucky I don't have a Yelp, but I don't believe in it. And I see you around my neighborhood sometimes, and I have to look at my shoes. You ruined my coffee shop. But still tipped. I still tipped even though my order was double what it normally is. I believe in tipping, and I think it comes back to you. So that is 5 Fact Friday. If you didn't hear your question, I got so many good questions this week that they're either going to be next week or they're going to be their own kind of video. I kind of like these story time type videos. I think that those are really cool. And I also got a request to make a video about living with your significant other's parents. I think it's more in depth than 5 Fact Friday, so I'd love to talk about it. And if you want me to address any points about living with John's parents, let me know, because I think that video is going to come out sometime this week. And yeah, I love you guys so much. Thanks for participating in 5 Fact Friday. Check out the New York City blog. Check out yesterday's lookbook. Tell me how you feel. And we also did 1 week of vegan meals. That one went really well, so I think we're gonna do a part 2. John and I already talked about where we're gonna go, and I'm super excited. I love you guys. Subscribe, show your support. Let me know if you know how to make a zine. And until next time, I love you guys. Bye! So here's some of the stuff that I got at Soy Cafe. I got this like bagel sandwich here that is like to die for. And it has what they call like their vegan sausage in there, and then also has avocado, tomato, mustard, and soy cheese.